So many of you will have heard about the recent decision on the part of Dr. Seuss's estate to stop printing 6 of their books. And I thought to myself, this would make for a great Hayek video. And yes, the most important thing that I know you're wondering, this video does rhyme. So, what would Hayek say? I'm Scott Nelson with the Austrian Economics Center and Hayek Institute in Vienna, Austria. And this week, we're going to be taking a look at what Hayek has to say about the abuse of Dr. Seuss. Look at the papers when you want to get mad. There's no end to news that will make you less glad. Is this the sad fate that's befallen our culture? A carcass alone to be devoured by vultures? It's in times such as these that I must seek out help from voices of old who give more than a yelp. Who better to ask than a man who's seen all? A man, no sir, a creature that's tall. That's right, dear viewer. I invite you to play. Let's ask all together what a Hayek would say. First, what is a Hayek and where is he from? Is he something like me or smart and not dumb? And where does he live and what does he do? Does he make funny faces and jump around too? Well, a Hayek is the most wondrous of things, born at a time when still there were kings. Austria's the name of the land of his birth, although he preferred refined British mirth. An economist by training, a philosopher by trade, a Hayek can say much about the world that we've made. For talk of much progress was rife in his time. Let's equalize outcomes, cut down the sublime. In our world today, some forces bring change, some of which seems to me pretty strange. A perfect example is Dr. Seuss's estate that stopped printing some books they deemed full of hate. But hate, you say, that's a word that's too strong. You're right, they said they were hurtful and wrong. Figures drawn in this way to depict some poor race. In this day and age, such a sketch has no place, and I rest my case. Now imagine the reaction in this internet age as left-wing and right birthed bilious rage. They lashed and they slashed and they thrashed and they trashed, bashing it, dashing and crashing and gashing, brash in their ways, they made a big mash before all simmered down and turned into ash. Cancel culture, cried one to the applause of his friends, for this logic to him permits of no end. If past wrongs must be censored, then away with all history. But don't be too sore, since the same goes for herstory. Just benign little pictures of fictional creatures. Why should you think race the most integral feature? Latent racism you want. Some argue about that. They say you should read The Cat in the Hat. But if not cancel culture, then what does this mean? The others, on evolving and progress, they're keen. It's not so uncommon to review the past in light of the present and things that should last. These 6 books were uncommon and hardly well known. It's highly unlikely their sales would have grown. So enough of this whining. Let up, just park it. These books were long gone by the force of the market. A market, you say, as this Hayek's ears do bristle. A hop, skip, and a jump, and the Hayek's here with a whistle. Market, you see, is my favorite word, and best when left free to soar high like a bird. So I'll cut through the knots in all that you've heard. Did sellers decide to withdraw these 6 books? Are they banned from the country and their buyers are crooks? Dr. Seuss's estate holds the rights to his work. They can do as they like, even if they are jerks. A plain matter, you see, of property rights. No need for chagrin and bloodthirsty fights. You know there is more that you might like to ponder. How absence, they say, makes the heart grow much fonder. Well, what have we here but diminished supply, while the other books' sales have shot up sky high? Best buy the whole lot before it's too late. and all Dr. Seuss meets the same gloomy fate. In fact, I must say, an ingenious ploy. Were I the estate, I'd be jumping for joy. A novel idea for children's books firms. Jump on the bandwagon and see what you earn. At this, the tall Hayek was beaming with pride, with infallible logic and wit at his side. It's not every day that you cannot retort. I found myself shy and coming up short. For I remembered these books from my very young years. They brought pleasure and fun and surely no tears. Did they instill the wrong values and blind me to race? Could I see no more dignity in another human face? Why suggest a stark prejudice to which children are blind and let racial thinking infect their young minds? Are such measures for children or adults left forlorn, bereft of the innocence with which they were born? How can we be sure that our children will learn the lessons we give and they're taught not to spurn? If there's one thing for sure that gives parents a jolt, it's that their dear children will often revolt. So beware your cheap lessons and penchant to destroy. You'll reap what you sow, and that's nary a joy. But how could a Hayek be convinced of my case? Of flaws in his thought there was hardly a trace. Yet before me it lay, in plain open sight. Tradition, I cried, and I knew I was right. With glimmering eyes and a coy little look, I turned to the Hayek who was reading a book. He paused for a moment with an all-knowing stare, espying already the case I would dare. Do you truly not see the result of all this? Progressivist logic, I said with a hiss. Before you will know it, they'll be after you too. And when that time comes, this day you shall rue. For markets and law are destined to fall. Without the right virtues, they're nothing at all. Why do you sit back and speak not of the good, of the life we should lead, as you know you well could? We sit here in peace, and the left's on all fronts. They're ruthless and ceaseless when on their mad hunts. Well, I've had enough of their dastardly stunts. Just drop them in front of a person who punts, or better still yet, as a person who shunts. In my mind, they're all just a bunch of real runts. Or let's just be frank, they're all real big. People with whom we have our disagreements. It's a sign of a vibrant liberal democracy that political debate can be lively and contentious without degenerating into violence. At this, the tall Hayek was taken aback. But after he put himself right back on track, he smiled and he gave me a look of compassion that calmed my fierce heart in avuncular fashion. Within that mere moment, he made clear to me those products of outrage that I did not see. He said, tradition is good and must be defended, like a free-growing garden that's carefully tended. But Dr. Seuss's estate will do what they will. Far be it from me to dampen their thrill. Just 6 books, that is all, a minor infraction. Great works such as Dante, they still have got traction. The remains of the past will endure still in sooth, forever preserved by those who prize truth. Dear viewer, I fear that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed What a Hayek Would Say.
You know what's funny about this banner here is that it doesn't matter where you move, his eyes always seem to be following you, no matter where you are in the room. You know, it's one of the most mesmerizing and also creepy things. Anyhow, everybody, thank you for checking out this video. We put a lot of work into these videos, so we hope that you're really enjoying them. If you have been, then please feel free to suggest a topic that you'd like us to deal with in a future video. We take all sorts of suggestions, and Hayek has a lot to say about all sorts of different things. And most important of all, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your friends.